So are you actually wondering what's happening in the real estate market right now in Squamish? Well, it's a big, really not much going on. I'll quickly run through some stats and some numbers with you because it's really not exciting. So as we head into the winter, as typically is the case, housing price index remains stable. Percentage of original price is again fairly stable, just over 98.5%, which is still typical for Squamish. What you're going to see is some of the days on the market has gone down. Again, not much property out there, so when it does come on, if it's priced right, it's selling quick, which is usually the case when we enter the fall market. Total inventory has gone up in Squamish, and new listings have obviously accelerated. Sales have gone down slightly, and the sales to active ratio, as you can see here, it's at 0.18, which below 2 or below 0.2 is actually fairly low. And what that means is the number of actives on the market is greater than the number of sales. So sales are slowing down a little bit faster than everything else. And so we are getting for the season, considering seasonality, there's more properties on the market than there are buyers. So that means that, there's more actives on the market than there are sales. So what that actually means is that the number of sales aren't keeping up with the number of listings, and we're getting more product on the market. And that's kind of what's happening. So there's a bit of a downward pressure on prices. I had real trouble thinking about that, if you didn't notice, but it's just one of those days where I'm just having trouble wrapping my head around my own brain. Anyway, property types, the only thing that is sort of any sort of variance at all is the new listings in apartments hasn't gone up that much. There have been a lot of pre-sales that have been finishing off, but it will be interesting to see because there's not going to be any new developments really hitting the market in the very near future, so we might not see a whole bunch of sales coming through in the apartments. So this section in here, we may not see that spike again for a while. We might see new listings in the apartments stay down below 30 for a while, which would be a healthy market. Outside of that, we're looking at a long-term vision of the interest rates, and with the interest rates, we really have to consider that realistically, the interest rates are going to fall. That's going to put a little bit of upward pressure on pricing in Squamish, but we really are low on buyers. So we've got to be aware of that. We've got to take that into consideration and realize that prices are probably going to stagnate. If anything, they might come down a touch, but is that really going to impact anybody who's buying right now? No, when you're looking at a $1.5 million property and instead it's going to be 1.495 or 1.505, it's really not going to make a difference. And you really have to remember that real estate is a long-term investment, and we have to take it with that sort of lens when we consider things. So really, again, nothing to report as we head into the fall. We might see something in the stock market take hold if Trump goes over and he and President Xi can't come up with some sort of agreement. Then you might see downward pressure in the stock market, which does affect a lot of people with what they can afford to buy in a house. So that's the only thing that's sitting on the on the cliff right now and wondering what could happen. Other than that, we got a pretty stable market. If anybody has any questions, reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer questions as they come in.